Town of Hamilton Select Board meeting to order at 7:02 on Monday, February 5th. We'll start with announcements and board openings, everyone's favorite part of the meeting. Listen up if you're waiting to get involved. We have one opening on the Community Preservation Committee, two openings on the Conservation Committee, two associate openings on the Council on Aging. Isn't that a nice way to get started as an associate member? One associate opening on the Finance and Advisory Committee, the hottest committee in town. We have two openings for 3-year terms and two openings for 2-year terms on the Historic District Commission. And just a note that one must be a resident of the Historic District and one must be a resident realtor. One opening on the Human Rights Commission, one associate opening on the Planning Board. It's a good time over there. And one associate opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, line up. Next, we'll have a few minutes for public comment if anybody has anything. Would you like to be recognized, Corinne? Great.
Yes, thank you. Corinne Kale, Town Clerk. In addition to the openings on the boards and committees, and I would encourage people to take a look, it is always a good way to break in and make a contribution to community. But I have a couple other things going on around the local election that's coming up April 11th. So I just want to make sure people listening or watching know that the nomination papers are available and are due back on Thursday, February 22nd by 5 p.m. So folks are more than welcome to come in the clerk's office and pull those papers. We're still looking for more folks to run for the Select Board, the Planning Board, Hamilton Wenham Library Trustees, and the School Committee, along with all the other positions as well. There's a lot of information on the clerk's webpage, so please take a look at it. So deadline again, February 22nd. The presidential primary is March 5th here in Massachusetts, and folks all would have received the postcard at home in the event you care to vote by mail. Those are due back by Tuesday, February 27th at 5 p.m. So if anyone's planning on returning those, please return them as soon as possible, and if I could beg people to complete them correctly. People forget signatures, people forget to indicate what ballot they want for a primary if they're unenrolled, and it's a whole nother round of steps and expense to get those mailed back out to try to get folks to fill them out completely. Census forms, everybody received in the mail in mid-January, so at this point they're overdue. They're due 10 days after receipt. So if folks haven't got them in, we'd greatly appreciate getting those in ASAP. With the census forms also came your dog license renewal forms.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
So those are due soon. So any questions on that, you're welcome to call or come to the clerk's office. Just a couple other things too. Anybody currently serving on a board or committee or an employee in a board or committee, whether elected or appointed, would have gotten an email or should have gotten an email regarding the conflict of interest acknowledgement of the summary. As a reminder to everybody, we all have to take training every 2 years. Most of us took it last year, so we are not having to take that again, but every year we must sign an acknowledgement of receipt. Any questions, please track me down. And just so folks know, end of the day today, I did get approval from the Attorney General's office for the stormwater management bylaw changes, but there are about a page and a half of recommendations that I will pass along back up. It did go to town council as well, and then I'll circulate it through everybody else as well. So that's all I have. Again, key dates, people can keep an eye on the website. And I do want to give a shout out. Tim Olson's been fabulous getting some of the dates on the LED board out in front of the Public Safety Building. He's been very, very great about that. Bobby Gates has been helping getting stuff out on Facebook, creating a lot of it as events so that people will see that in their feed. But as we know, without a newspaper, it's kind of hard to get all that information out. So spread the word. Any questions?
Will there be a town flogging for the people who don't do the census? And if so, what's the date?
That is possible,
Okay,
but we haven't quite decided on that yet. We'll give it a few more weeks.
Okay.
Any other questions?
A lot going on.
Good to see you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Corinne.
Yeah, don't forget about those select board openings. This could be your life. Any other public comment before we move right along? No? All right. We'll move forward to the consent agenda. We have two items on the consent agenda tonight. The first is to approve a request by You Can Run for 2 road races. One is on April 21st, 2024. The other is September 15th, 2025.
That's a typo, that's 24.
That's a typo. They're happening both in 2024. And we're also going to approve the minutes of the select board meeting from January 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second by Bill. Awesome. Any discussion about You Can Run? I can't, but perhaps y'all can.
No, I don't run.
All right, then we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. You're not voting, friend. You just are spectating. The ayes have
Honorary
it.
member here.
All right, I will next, am I calling to order the public hearing?
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to call to order the public hearing concerning the cable television license renewal of Comcast Communications Management at 7:09.
And Bill August, our attorney, is on to discuss the cable license.
Bill, I heard you have a unique enthusiasm for cable license renewals.
I must say that's a true statement.
We all have to have something.
And I think that the Cable Act is actually a paragon, a legislative paragon. So anyone who wants to talk to me about it, because it lets the communities meet with these major companies and update their contracts every 10 years. And there are not many industries that have to do that with municipalities. So I am enthusiastic.
I'm delighted to hear it. I'm often called a paragon myself, so I feel particularly good about that.
Bill, do you want Caroline to read the opening statement?
Yes, please. Yes.
All right, buckle up, buttercups.
Just stop page right
It's long. All right, good evening. Welcome to the Town of Hamilton's public hearing on Comcast cable license renewal. I'm Caroline Beaulieu, Vice Chairman of the Hamilton Select Board, which is the cable license issuing authority under Mass General Laws, Chapter 166A. With me tonight are other members of the Select Board, as well as the town's Cable Council, Bill August and Bill Melville, from the Hamilton Wenham Community Access Media, who we thank for assistance with the renewal process. Notice of this hearing was in the local newspaper 2 successive weeks. Copies of the legal advertisements are here entered into the record of ascertainment hearing exhibits 1 and 2. A copy of the proposed license has been available for public inspection at the office of the clerk. By way of background, state law requires the holding of a public hearing prior to final action on a proposed renewal license, which shall include opportunity for public comment on town needs and the proposed renewal. Based on information before us this evening, and based on prior public testimony and a prior public hearing, the Select Board may take final action on the renewal proposal before us for possible execution this evening. Any public comments or questions should be directed through me, and I will rule whether they are in order. Please keep your comments no longer than 4 minutes. At this time, we invite and welcome members of the public to come forward, identify yourself, and testify and provide comments, if any. Thank you.
No members of the public seem to be indicating a desire to speak. Bill and Bill Melville?
Okay, good evening, members of the board. So my name is Bill Melville. I'm the executive director of Hamilton Wenham TV. It's funny, this, I was thinking, I've known Bill August probably since 2005, maybe earlier. So this is like our third cable license, including the Verizon, so maybe fourth. We've had really good luck. I think a lot of it, the last couple licenses through Comcast and Verizon have to do with not only Bill's expertise, Joe's been very, very supportive, and the Board of Selectmen also have been supportive. This license is a really good license. It's win-win. It's not your usual, well, if you give us this, we'll give you that. We're getting a HD channel, which the government access will be on. We are recording in HD, but we don't broadcast in HD unless you're on YouTube. So that's a bonus. The capital is increased from the previous license, which is good. And we're getting the largest, or the legal limit of how much gross annual revenue from Comcast, which is really good. We get 5%, which is the legal limit. So I just see all pluses with this. Yeah, some of the language is cleaned up that's old, but generally speaking, I think this is a really good license.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill, August, you want to offer anything else?
Also, thank you to the several persons, especially town manager Joe Demelowitz, who was personally involved in like the important negotiation meetings with the Comcast government relations representative, as has been Bill Melville, who has fact-checked and verified all the technical details about the local architecture in terms of bringing the signals back to the studio and the upgrades of the technology. In addition to getting the first ever high definition local channel for your shared Hamilton Wenham studio, the other channels are also being upgraded from standard definition to a higher resolution level. Well, that's being continued, actually. They were recently upgraded to SD-SDI. And as Bill really covered the main points, it's, you know, the two main buckets of support are the annual PEG Access franchise fee, and that's at the maximum 5% of gross annual revenues. And the supplementing that above and beyond the annual franchise fee is capital funding for equipment and facilities, and that has increased 20% above what it has been. So there's growth in that area. Also, despite Comcast's loss of subscribers due to cord cutting. So I'm very confident that in terms of the main elements, it's a strong license. And, you know, there are 101 lesser but important protections in terms of annual reporting of complaints and financial condition of Comcast and obligations in terms of right-of-way management and very comprehensive insurance requirements. I won't get into that level of detail, but in terms of the, you know, where the real negotiation energy goes into supporting these very valuable local assets, you know, we take it for granted when we have three local channels, but that's how HBO got started. And those are pretty priceless to just have your own local community channels. And so it's a strong package, and I'm pleased with it. And I really, again, I can't thank Joe and Bill Melville enough. They were there at every twist and turn and every phone call and really helped out a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
So what do we do with the franchise fee and the capital investment on infrastructure? What are some of the good things we've done for the community?
The Zoom hybrid, that was paid for by that. The upgrade we did about 3 or 4 years ago to all HD,
Nice.
that is part of that too. So don't forget, we split it with 3 ways. So if we do something here, in turn, it's done in Wenham,
Right.
and it's done for the schools. So
Do you have a kind of a wish list on what to do with any
that's-
future
I mean,
funding? You
that's-
said we can't broadcast, right? On the
Broadcast,
channels.
yeah.
Is
I
that a
think-
desire?
I mean, the next set of upgrades, my guess is when we do the town hall upstairs, that's gonna be 4K. It's gonna be 4K, so, I think the transport and maybe other ways of getting to the residents, February break, where I'm upgrading the playback system at Railroad Ave. That's gonna have built-in closed captioning. So all the meetings that take place are gonna have some, the closed captioning on it. There's a better database retrieval system that's in there that people can access it. There's gonna be better streaming from our server. We stream on YouTube, but we also stream locally from a server there.
Okay.
That's gonna be much more robust. So those kinds of things, I think.
That's great.
And there's
appreciate it.
also an app that's gonna be coming with it. You can either put it on a smart TV, or you can put it on your phone, Android or iOS.
So that'll be new this year, or?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's going to be good. And the thought, I have to talk to the board of directors if we get a branded app. So instead of going to the App Store and looking up Tightrope or whatever, you can look up HW Cam, and then we'll have our own branded app.
Bill, when you're traveling, you can
Yeah.
watch the planning board meetings from,
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Right from the airplane.
right from the
yeah,
airplane.
that's great. So those are some of the things. But I think, I'll be going to the conference in April, to NAB, like I always do, and that's real high-end. That's HBO, that's Netflix, that's Sony and Canon, all that real, where they have multi-million dollar facilities. But I get a lot of good information from there. What the future looks like, what are some ways that I can utilize locally here, that I don't have to spend a lot of money. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
If there's no more public comment, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tom?
Oh, aye.
Great,
Aye.
thank you. Awesome. At this point, we can take a motion to approve the Comcast license renewal. I have a motion here that needs to be read. Is that true, as the motion? If anybody would like to do a dramatic reading. Joe, you did such a good job that last time. I think you should probably do it. It's not for the public to do, my dear.
Motion for a Comcast license renewal vote by Hamilton Select Board. Acting in its capacity as the statutory cable television license issuing authority pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 166A, and finding that the cable license renewal proposal of Comcast, the town's current cable licensee, reasonably meets the license and cable-related renewal needs and interests of the public in town, and finding that Comcast's financial and technical qualifications and local support for the local programming channels, studio, facilities, and services are reasonable to meet town cable license needs, and based on the recommendation of the town's Renewal Negotiations Council, the Hamilton Select Board hereby approves the Comcast proposed non-exclusive renewal license effective March 2nd, 2024, immediately following the expiration of the current license on March 1st, 2024.
Second.
Any further discussion before we vote? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Well done, Bill. Well done, Bill.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Squared.
The bills.
Okay. Stay in touch.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Joe, do we accept, is Verizon on a similar cadence, or already done,
So
or
we did Verizon about 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
So this is,
Well, that raises an interesting question, because while Comcast does 10-year licenses, Verizon has refused to go beyond 5-year licenses. So they're not that far off again.
another 2 or
It's-
3 years will be.
It's annoying
Back
to
here
have to
again.
do it every 5 years, but that's their timetable. So we'll have to look at, you guys should take a peek at that, see where they are. Okay, take care.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye.
All right. I don't have to do anything else. All right. Next up, and look at us, we're ahead of schedule by 10 minutes. I want everybody to take note of that. I recognize Ray Burnett, who's going to come up, say a few words.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. As you all know, we're here to award Ben Thunberg, one of our call firefighters, with a commendation for his life-saving measures from the other night at the local restaurant, where he was instrumental in saving a life. I'm going to ask Ben to come up, and I'm also going to ask Andrew, Captain Ellison, to come up. He was the OIC that night, and he's privy to all the details, and he asked me to present it. We're all very proud of Ben and what he did the other night, and so, great, Andrew.
So, good evening. I recommended this letter of commendation to Chief Burnett because it's important to recognize when our members does something exemplary. On January 27th of 2024, firefighter first responder Ben Thunberg did just that. While off duty and eating at dinner at a local restaurant, a fellow patron had a sudden medical emergency. Firefighter Thunberg acted immediately to perform life-saving interventions, and as a result, that patient is alive today. Your 30-plus firefighters perform life-saving measures routinely under the course of their duty, and most of these actions go unrecognized. Frankly, we all prefer it that way, and I think Firefighter Thunberg would have preferred this. However, in most of those cases, as firefighters, we have the benefit of time from the moment our pagers go off to listen to the dispatch, understand the nature of the emergency, plan our response, mentally review our training, consult with our partner responders, and utilize our medical equipment to intervene. On this night, Firefighter Thunberg had none of that. He simply observed someone in need and immediately relied upon his training to intervene and change the outcome for the better. So on behalf of Chief Burnett and the Hamilton Fire Department, I'd like to present Firefighter Thunberg with this letter of commendation. And it reads, Firefighter First Responder Thunberg, this letter of commendation is in recognition of your efforts on January 27th, 2024, in which your quick actions while off duty resulted in the regain of consciousness of an apneic and pulseless citizen. On January 27th, you were off duty and out of uniform eating at a local restaurant. You observed a male party suffering a medical emergency and immediately intervened. You evaluated the male party, recognized he was not breathing, and initiated life-saving medical interventions consistent with your training as a firefighter and a first responder. As a result of your quick actions, the patient began breathing again and regained consciousness prior to HFD arrival. The patient was then transported to a local hospital for further evaluation and treatment. Without your quick recognition and immediate action while off duty, it is believed by all responders that the outcome for this patient would have been much different. It is for this reason that you are being recognized with this letter of commendation, signed by the Chief of the Department, Chief Burnett.
Thank you. As Andrew said, you know, we don't like to take praise in it. Just at the right place at the right time. You always say you don't want to help when we're not on duty or working, but all of a sudden there you are and you're doing it. It's what we do. And for 16 years as first responders, we have to do CPR every year. Having to do it and go off my judgment immediately, not being the third person there and we're already doing CPR, it's very definitely difficult. Much appreciated. Thank you for the commendation and glad to serve, and I'm glad for a good outcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We certainly won't make you more uncomfortable, but for a moment we will. Obviously, on behalf of myself and the rest of the select board, we are incredibly grateful to you. I'm certain the family as well is incredibly grateful. And I know that all of y'all do so much that we don't see train for things that may never happen. But I think this is a great example of when they do, we are so grateful that you're there and available and ready. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll just second. You know, it's one thing to be trained, and I give credit to the whole department and chief for that. But you mentioned time in your statement ahead of it, and that to be able to execute on that training with no time, you know, we don't know how we will be when the moment happens, and the fact that you were there and you acted is amazing. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, no, just really remarkable. Just reading through these notes of what you went through, and you know, like as Bill said, to not have any sort of mental preparation, like you said, when you're going on a call, you're on your way, you can prepare yourself, and you know you can review your training. But to not have that in you, just got to jump into action is just pretty remarkable, and we're very grateful that you were there, and as the family is, I'm sure, very grateful as well.
We'll have to bring pizza by. It's true, it's time.
Overdue.
Tom and I can weep in the car afterwards, like we did after the training that day. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming out. Now there's a team right there.
Yeah. The next agenda item is also fire aligned, so that y'all can do this all together. So next we'll review the request from Chief Burnett to place an article on the annual town meeting warrant for the adoption of provisions MGL Chapter 22, Section 42B.
Guess I'm on the hot seat tonight.
You
aren't
are.
I? Okay. I think that was 32. I might have heard you wrong.
32,
32, yeah.
32-4B.
4, 2, yeah.
So this is a local adoption. It's a Mass General law, and it's been in place for a while. But what happened was the retirement system, this whole law is about buying back time for call firefighters and reserve police officers when they go, if they were to go full-time. And when they go full-time, they're allowed to buy back a portion of their time based on certain criteria. There's so many different systems. There's Essex Regional Retirement System, there's Beverly Retirement System, Danvers has its own retirement system, and everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And what happened was PERIC, which is the controlling body of all our retirement system, came down and condensed it all and came up with rules that everybody has to follow, because everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And once they did that, they realized that all but one town actually adopted this way back when. The rest of the cities and towns did not adopt this home petition, this rule. And legally doesn't allow Essex Regional Retirement System to allow us to buy back the time without us adopting it. All these years, they've just been going on, well, it's a law, we don't, have to, worry about someone adopting it. So now it's come to a head, and everybody needs to adopt it, and that's why I brought it up. So there's kind of a grace period. It was May 22nd of '23. Essex Regional Retirement System voted to adopt what PERIC ruled. They did, and in turn, they came back to our Fire Chiefs Association. They showed us that each city and town has to adopt that in order to follow the law properly and do the right thing. So that's what I'm asking, why I'm asking this to go on to the warrant, because it has to be done by a town meeting vote. And that's the only way it can be done. You guys, as a board, cannot vote on it here and enact it. It wouldn't be lawful to do that.
So the request here tonight is just to include this in the list of warrant articles. You'd have time between now and town meeting for town council to vet it, for FinCom and you to review it and make your recommendations on the warrant. So this is just to see if you'd agree to put it on the list of warrant articles. As you know, we close the warrant the next meeting, which is February 26th, I think, the last Monday of the month. So there's another article on this list too. I gave you an updated list. The one that was in the in your packets was wrong. It was missing one article that you previously agreed to add. So I included that article as well as the two that you're being asked to consider tonight. So
Do we require a motion to add it to the list?
it'd be better. Yeah, I mean, I'd just like your endorsement that you want it on the list so that
Do you have any questions for me about this? I mean,
they get a month and a half to ask you questions
Yeah,
about
we're
this.
gonna-
well, I figured if I didn't explain it,
My understanding is that there's basically like a math problem that they do to take like a certain number of years of service as one turns into and that's all sort of been pre-established and it's fair and just and it's
so
consistent.
absolutely, that's why I'm explaining it, that everybody was kind of doing their own thing.
Yep.
And people were, well, this body does it this way, why, there was individuals contesting, why am I not getting what I feel I deserve?
Got
So
it.
that's why they came down with this ruling that makes it fair across the board for everybody in the state. And they found out all these other issues that need to be cleared up, like anything else, things happen, so.
Okay. Any,
Roughly how many people does this impact?
Right now, it would affect Chief Burnett and,
Christine Ellis,
yeah,
and potentially Bob Wallace in the future, and Dan Sullivan, our new deputy from, he was a call firefighter in Wenham.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It's basically, they've done service to be awarded this. It's just they need to purchase it, and it comes down to the formula, and that's what they changed.
And you said it only on-call who become permanent, right? What if
Only
they
on-
didn't?
full-time firefighters.
Absolutely. It's
Become
So it
just,
doesn't open it up if somebody hadn't? Okay.
No.
no, it's people who become permanent are eligible
Gotcha.
to 20 hours of service per year actually is a threshold. So anybody that's 20-plus hours and would be considered a full-time employee by the town standards.
Gotcha. So I would make a motion to add to our warrant provisions regarding MGL Chapter 32, Section 4, 2B.
Second.
Any further discussion amongst the board?
And we'll, like you said, Joe, we'll go through that, and,
Okay.
okay, perfect.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Should we prepare for the mass exodus of firefighters at this point?
Have a commercial break for all.
You don't want to hang around and talk to the Little League guys?
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. A worthy reason to show.
Great that you all
Appreciate
showed
you all.
up.
We appreciate it.
In honor
Thank
of,
you very
Ben.
much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
After these messages, we'll be right back. All right, next up, we have a Hamilton Wenham Little League request to hang banners on outfield fences at Patton Park. And I believe that Sean Timmons and the HWLL board is here to tell us more.
Hey, everyone. John McMurdy is on the Zoom as well to answer any questions that you may have if something comes up. So it's really two requests from Little League. The first is a repeat request from last year, and the second is sort of a pivot from what we had thought we were going to be able to accomplish when the scoreboards were approved. So the first request is to hang banners, sponsorship banners at Patton Park like they did last year. And again, they are requesting to hang no more than 10 3-foot by 6-foot banners across the baseball diamonds. Those banners go on the permanent fences, the chain link fences, the permanent fences that are down there on the baseball diamonds. As well as one sort of special recognition banner, which is a little bit bigger, and that goes on the backstop at the Little League field at Patton Park. However, if you look at that particular banner, it's color-coded and designed in a way that it actually looks just like 2 3x6s, even though it's, one large banner. So you really need to kind of sort of go take a close look at it to know that it's just one as opposed to two separate. So that's the first request. And like I said, that's, a direct repeat from what was approved last year. We didn't really have any issues, that I knew of from last year with the banners being hung up. Their season typically, Little League is one of the few. They work really hard to provide 3 seasons of play. So the banners were up last year from, I'd say, late April to about mid-October when things start wrapping up. So that's the first request. And again, these sponsorship banners go directly towards, towards Little League, and specifically to a lot of the field improvements that they've done. They just completed another field improvement at both fields at Patton, as well as 2 fields at Pingree that was, upwards of close to $25,000. So super grateful for all the work that Little League has done on the fields. And this is just a way for them to raise funds to help accomplish that.
Absolutely. We'll keep the two issues separate, so we could probably go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the Patton Park banners for the upcoming Little League season, if anybody.
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. Any further discussion or questions for John or Tim pertaining to this motion?
Yeah, no, just you had mentioned no issues last year, Sean, so no residents around there or who enjoy the park as a park called, complained on
I got no
signage.
complaints.
I didn't hear anything.
No, I think, I think folks are, fairly, if they go to, diamonds or fields or whatever, fairly used to seeing some sort of sponsorship banners up there. So last year was the first year, but it's tastefully done, and there's not, there, like I said, less than 10 or no more than 10 spread across the 2 diamonds doesn't really, it's not really kind of eye-popping as they're kind of done tastefully, and there's not, banners just splattered everywhere.
It's better than having.
Not like a
two
NASCAR
billboards
jersey
in
out
the
there.
back
I
of the
think we're,
jerseys.
yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right,
Can we get some sponsors for this room?
we'd like our faces put on one of them this year. That's what we'd like. It's very large.
We'll talk to you later about the cost of that, Karen.
All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so next, tell us a bit more about the improvement to the base of the scoreboards.
Perfect. So when the scoreboards were approved, Little League, as part of the approval process, was committed to sort of beautifying that area. Originally, we thought some sort of planter's box in front of, or kind of below the scoreboard in front of the where the control boxes are for the lights was sort of the idea. After really giving that some thought and based on a lot of different things, maintenance being one, safety certainly being one, we do think it's a much better idea. Instead of having a physical structure there, the planter's box, to do sort of shrubbery below and underneath it, easier to maintain, a lot safer. We don't really realize how close that scoreboard is, and it is in play. So we figured, to be safer, as well as, to kind of have less upkeep or consistent upkeep, that the shrubbery or bushes or, however you want to, whatever you want to call it, would be more of a better look. Does that about pin on everything, John?
Yeah, that's it. Just we talked to the Hamilton Wenham Garden Club, who's going to help us out with this, or at least one or two members, just to do some kind of shrubs and make it look nice down there under that scoreboard. But that's something that folks are going to run into and kick their shins on. So that's it, Sean. That's good summary.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure to get that on everyone's radar. So, if that does get approved, or if we didn't come before you to ask for it, if, something different than what may have been previously talked about, I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with what Little League is planning on doing.
Yeah, and indeed, the plan is to get this going in like March this year, whenever we get a little warmer weather. We kind of whiffed on it last year, but we got it wheels in motion for this spring, so.
Awesome. To begin, I'll entertain a motion to approve the outlined plan for the base of the scoreboards.
So moved.
Second?
Second? All right. Further discussion?
Where is the scoreboard?
On the back, between the tennis courts and the outfield.
It's like right field, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only-
Right field line. So the scoreboard is directly in front. I don't know how familiar you are, but the scoreboard is directly in front of I guess kind of the area that has all the electrical breakers and the boxes and things for the lights, which is basically on the other side of the tennis fence, kind of. But it's right field line, basically really close to that road coming down the right field line there.
Thank you.
Last question, and it does say it here, but I just wanted to ask the sort of ongoing maintenance and replacement and upkeep. I assume we're all sort of talking about like a reasonable standard of upkeep if somebody lands on it, falls apart, breaks, it will be sort of maintained. When the plants die, they'll be replaced at a clip. Like the plan is to sort of in perpetuity make sure that it's maintained at the cost of the Little League. Is that the plan? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to try and get things that aren't particularly delicate choices out there that'll be nice and durable. But that will be on our list of things to maintain, much like a lot of the other field infrastructure.
Perfect. Just don't want a lonely, sad, broken down box of dirt in the field. It's not really a field of dreams in that case. Awesome. Anything else?
A motion, a second, you got to vote?
We said it. We seconded
First,
it.
seconded, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
great job.
All right, y'all.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for
guys.
coming.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Cruising right along. We have another request for adding another article to town meeting. This one is to create the special revenue fund for the opioid settlement funds.
Yeah, this is a request from myself and our finance director, Wendy Markowitz. So most of you are probably aware that there were several court cases settled about the about the practices of the companies that make opioids. Hamilton was a party to that class action lawsuit. As a result, through a really bizarre formula, we get a certain amount of money from each of those settlements. It has to be spent in very specific ways. It can't go to the general fund. It can't be appropriated for whatever we want. It has to go to be spent on certain things that are approved under the settlement agreement. And that was all started to take place last year in 2023. The state had kind of been trying to figure out how to advise us to segregate those funds so that they were available for the proper purposes. And we finally have some guidance from the state that they can be set up into a special revenue fund and segregated for use by the local Board of Health for programs and projects that align with the purposes of the settlement. So we've got the first couple checks, but they've just been sitting there in our bank account in a line item waiting to be put somewhere where we can use them. So we'll probably ask for the creation of the revenue fund and the transfer of those funds from the general fund into the new special revenue fund, where all future opioid settlement funds will go. And then the Board of Health would have the ability to, through a vote, authorize the health director to spend those funds going forward.
I'm assuming that like the other one, once we approve, we'll then get we'll get deeper into this after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to make the motion?
I will make a motion to add to an article of the town meeting warrant regarding creating a special revenue fund for opioid settlement funds.
Second.
Awesome. Any other discussion or questions for Joe? Or do we put it on there and talk about it later?
So for this fund, is there going to be ongoing contributions to the fund, or is it just the money that
It's a certain number of years that we get it. We'll be getting annual payments. There's like 8 different companies that were joined in the class action lawsuit. Different entities have different amounts of payment that they have to make to the federal government that gets dispersed out. We'll get, for the next couple of years, we'll be getting, I think it's like 10 years we get like $6,000. Hamilton isn't getting a great deal of money out of this.
Okay, all right.
It's like $60,000 over 10 years. And they won't give it to us all up front. We have to wait. So
There's specific,
yeah, it all
uses.
has to go towards things that would help people that are in the throes of addiction, or, help guide people to resources that would help them with that, or provide Narcan, things like that we can do.
Didn't the Board of Health pass was it the clean needle thing? What did they?
They did vote to do something with needle, bring,
Needle
collection.
exchange or whatever, yep.
Needle exchange collections.
I wonder if this helps fund
It-
that.
Well, for instance, we could use the funds to buy a needle disposal box that we could just leave either at the police station or somewhere, so. Although
When
people
is that?
don't usually like to drop their needles at the police station, so you need to find
Weird.
a better public place for that, but.
Yeah, can't imagine.
And it makes sense to put it with the Board of Health, not with the police department or the fire or public safety.
Yeah, it's really more health-related than it is public safety-related, so.
And if we did not have a fund like that, where would it go, to free cash, or?
It's not allowed to go to free
So where
cash,
would it go?
so it's been in our general fund, but we're not allowed to appropriate it or do anything with it until
Okay.
we kind of designate where it should go. So this based on the recommendation of the DOR, this is the best
Yeah,
way
it
to.
makes sense. So it allows you to kind of park it somewhere and not just have to allocate it.
And it's very transparent. This is much is going in, this is what you can spend it on, these are the votes of the Board of Health that authorize the spending. Nobody can
Makes sense
question what
to
we're
me.
doing with it.
Yeah. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, awesome. All right, next we want to review our previous vote to reopen the regional school agreement, discuss a vote. And my understanding is that we have voted previously to reopen the regional agreement, but it's coming back up as a topic, and we want to sort of double down on our commitment
Yeah, so
to that.
Yeah, the board over the last couple of years, Hamilton's board, select board over the last couple of years, has been trying to get the district and the town of Wenham to reopen the district agreement. There's a lot of things that we've identified in a letter to the regional school committee almost 3 years ago now. At the time, when we initially began this, the school committee was open to it, but Wenham's select board at that time was still only 3 members. They demurred, they chose not to ask. The agreement calls for all 3 entities to agree to reopen the agreement. So we've kind of been pushing quietly behind the scenes, trying to get this done. everybody's in agreement now. My understanding is the Wenham Select Board has a vote like this planned for tomorrow night. So school committee voted last year to do that. So this would just be to reaffirm what you've already done and get those conversations started with the attorneys.
All right, so I would entertain a motion to reaffirm our affirmative vote to reopen the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Agreement.
I move that we reaffirm what we affirmed to open the school agreement.
Second.
Awesome. I guess the only question I have is after all three agree, is there like a subcommittee of folks who go in to sort of tweak the things that we opened it to tweak?
So we've already basically agreed to let the lawyers talk it out. We've signed a, because KP Law represents both Hamilton and Wenham, we had to sign off saying that we did not believe that there was a conflict of interest for KP to represent both our interests in this negotiation, and the district has authorized their counsel to begin conversations. They actually did start last year. Lauren Goldberg of KP Law started having some initial conversations with the district council last year on behalf of Wenham, but because town meetings were coming up and there was nothing they could get done before then, they my understanding is they agreed to pause discussions and pick it up again, but then it didn't get picked up again. So we've asked them to do that. Tom McEnany might wind up picking up the baton in this case, but it'll either be Tom or Lauren working with district council.
Any other discussion?
No. Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, lastly, anybody have any new business to discuss or for future discussion at a meeting?
We talked about, bringing 3A, MBTA 3A, as kind of a full meeting, just to do a deep dive. I'd like to see that on a
Yep.
meeting. Joe, we've talked a little bit about cell coverage in the second one. I have reached out to Chris Davis. I'd like to maybe put that on a.
You're going to look at the buyout? Is that?
Yeah, there's a buyout offer, but I think there's a couple paths we could take there.
Okay. Yeah, it came up, and the question, I think you were the one with the deepest expertise, and you could run the annuity
Yes,
and see if it was worth it. Okay.
yes.
Anything else?
I just, I'll take a quick minute to just update the board. So I know that you remember last year, we had a period of time where we didn't have any minutes takers working. The select board and planning board fell far behind in their minutes at that time. Over the summer, we addressed that. We hired a kind of minutes coordinator, and then several people as part-time, what we refer to now as recording secretaries. They have been busily building up and getting the backlog done, but we were having some technical difficulties, and we have been having some technical difficulties in getting them uploaded to the website and filed with the town clerk, which I was not aware of, unfortunately, until it was brought to our attention by a resident. So you've passed several sets of minutes in the last 2-3 months. We have, I think, 8 more sets that will be up for the next select board meeting, and then select board's minutes will all be up to date and passed. And Lori has started helping the recording secretary or the minutes coordinator getting them up onto the website and filed with the town clerk. So we're about halfway through our backlog, and the same is going on with the planning board. So I just want to let people know that it's coming. We have been diligent in trying to catch up since we hired the secretaries. The work was being done, but it's not recognized because it's not yet on the website, so it will be.
Thank you.
Right. No, that's good. I know I got an email on the same topic, and appreciate it, Joe. You guys jumped right in and realized the issue and kind of mitigated future minutes not being put up there and fixed the process, so appreciate that.
Anytime you switch to something new, there's going to be, a period of transition where things aren't connecting, so.
Is there now a standard of minutes across all boards?
All the boards that the secretaries are doing. We have a couple of boards that are doing their own minutes, FinCom, a couple of others, and so they may be slightly different, but we have previously provided the state's template for what minutes should look like to most of those boards and committees, so I think we're all pretty close at this point.
Do you hear that, John? You're the outlier.
I did not mean to outline, I did not mean to call
We called
the
John's minutes
spotlight on
out.
Yeah, we're behind, but we've got, I don't know, probably a dozen that are going to be approved here shortly. So we fell behind and we're catching up.
It's fine. We're in it together. All right. If nothing further, I will accept a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
We have
Good
signatures
job.
needed here.